All right.
Just a minute. This meeting is being recorded. All
Just
right.
click it. Yeah.
I got it.
Okay.
Okay. Let me get that little star cursor thing out of your face, a little arrow.
All right. Okay. Welcome back to my YouTube channel, Barbara Becker Healing. I'm Barbara Becker, and I'm here today interviewing a good friend of mine of over 27 years, Shaman Lance Heard. And Shaman Lance Heard wrote a book, and it's published, Life of Creative Adventure. And I thought this would be a good introduction for people to find out about this book and how wonderful it is. So, hi, Lance.
Hello, Barbara. How are you doing? Good morning.
I'm doing very well, thank you.
Very good. Very good.
Well, let's start off first, Lance, with you kind of giving us a little background information about yourself, and specifically, if you can mention your heritage.
Okay. Well, basically, ever since I was a little kid, I've always had different insights and stuff. I was born in El Centro, California, and my mother was very psychic and intuitive and all that stuff. So I grew up with always having, very interesting conversations about the angelic realm and different metaphysical perceptions and things of that nature. And my mother was very timely when we used to talk about things, because I would do things like go out into the wilderness, and then I'd have an insight and go, oh, wow, I'd never seen it that way. And then I'd go like, well, I'm tired now. And I'd go home. And as soon as I opened the door, my mother goes, oh, by the way. And then she would repeat to me what the information I just got. So as a confirmation. And so that really helped a lot and helped me to believe more in myself. So that was kind of my childhood in a nutshell, with my mother, and how I learned to trust myself more and things of that nature. Mm-hmm.
And what about your heritage?
What heritage?
Well, my understanding is, I think you told me a story about time I think it was a relative of yours mentioned about your Native American heritage.
Oh yeah, yeah. I just I have a stepbrother. He died quite a few years back, and he was Native American. And we have some Native American in our family, but I'm not sure what the percentage is or anything like that. But it's something that we've talked about when I was younger, and so, and plus when the lifetime before this one, I was Native American, and when I was a kid, I used to go out in the desert and stuff for hours and days on end, and be with the animals and stuff, and I could talk to them, and I knew what they were going to do, and like I knew native crafts. I could just go in and like make an arrowhead, and it looked like it came from the museum, like the first time I ever made one. And I was like wondering, like, well, how come I know exactly how to do this? Like when I press here with the deer antler, what it's going to do on the other side and stuff. And then that's when I actually, excuse me, I had I went into kind of like a trance when I was working on an arrowhead. And I asked myself, why do I know what I'm doing? And, like when I press here, what's going to happen and things like that. And then all of a sudden I go into this trance, and then I start looking at my arm, and I go, hey, wait, there's something wrong. I was, how come I'm white? I'm supposed to be Native American. And that actually plagued me for many, many, many years, until I figured it out. And that's how I figured out that was the gateway to teach me about past lives. And once I realized that I was Native American right before this life, then my life made complete sense. Why I love nature so much, why I knew, what was happening, how nature worked. It was just in me, so that's how I discovered that part of myself. Yeah.
So I remember, Lance, you and I share a previous life together as Sinagua Indians living just south of Sedona, because back then the Indians didn't live in the area where all the vortexes are. Only the shamans went there, that's my understanding.
Yes.
And you told me exactly where we lived, and I drove up there, parked my car, and spent the day in that area. And I found one of your arrowheads, and you were up there one time and you found one of my pottery shards. So I thought that was really cool.
Yes.
Again, it's cosmic confirmation about this other life that we had together, and we were brother and sister. So, and if we know anything about reincarnation and we come back here over and over again and play different roles, it's a no-brainer that you and I would probably connect again in this lifetime. And you have helped me over the years so many times. So grateful for all your healing, your insights, your wisdom, your humor, everything. Okay, I could go on and make another video just about you, but I know the people watching this want to know more about the book. So because the book is you. So okay, so the first question I'm going to ask you is, what prompted you or inspired you to write your book?
Well, what prompted me was when I realized that I had a lot of information, and that I only had. So I'm like, because I got my information, I guess you might call it the hard way. I didn't do it by like reading books and going to school classes to learn metaphysical principles and things of that nature, because I believe that in my beginning, I studied the path and the journey of Jesus. That's how I started. And I was sitting there one day, I was going, well, how did Jesus get his information? He didn't go to church. He didn't go to, he got it straight from source. So I decided, well, that's the way I'm going to do it. And so I just need to trust and believe that what I'm getting is real. Yeah. So what would happen is I would have issues and stuff that I was working on that were very painful, which everybody has. Otherwise, what's the reason of coming here, right? On Earth, that's what we come here for. This is a school. So I would ask questions before I go to bed, and then the angels would come to me and they would give me these answers. And then I'd go like, wow, that's an interesting perspective, and then I'd say, like, I'm going to try that because, I need to trust that that's real. So I started trying it, and it worked. And my life just kept getting better. I kept getting happier, until the point where I became very grateful. And I realized, wow, I have all this information, and one day I won't be here anymore. And I go, wouldn't that be very selfish if I didn't write my stuff down and give it to the world? And when I die, it just goes away. It'd be like I lost my heritage you know, you know, it disappeared when I disappeared, right?
Yes.
So that was my incentive of writing the book, you know, and the other incentive was compassion, because you know, I know how hard it is. It's extremely hard when you're going through your process, and you don't know what's happening. You know, why do I feel this way? Why do I have this pain? You know, and I go to the doctors, and you know, they x-ray me and do all this stuff, and they can't find anything, and then it just disappears. You know, things like that. You know, how come I feel so depressed, you know, for months or years, and then all of a sudden it just disappears? You know, what's all that about? You know, it can be very daunting, you know, and kind of, you know, scary for a lot of people, because nobody talks about, you know, the process of things and the natural process of things. Let's put it that way. Would be a better way, I think, to express it, because it's foreign. You know, our worldly perspectives don't teach us, I guess you might call it heavenly or spiritual perspectives, in a way that makes sense, because everybody's afraid to, you know, talk about it, because they might think you're crazy or something like that, but they're not. You're not crazy. Yeah.
All that conditioning and
Yeah,
programming.
it's just the conditioning and programming. Yeah.
Okay. One of the first subjects that you address in your book, it's a subject that's near and dear to both of our hearts, and that is self-love.
Yes.
So, what is the significance of self-love that you have expressed in your book?
Well, number one, you know, a lot of people talk about self-love, and they say, "Oh, you just need to love yourself." And you look at that and you go like, "Well, what the hell does that mean?" You know, nobody has taught us how to love ourselves. We don't have a good example, you know. So self-love is the ability to allow yourself to be yourself, and not judge yourself, not beat yourself up, and love yourself as you're going through the process. You know, if you think about it, if you love yourself and you don't beat yourself up as you're going through a process, you know, you're going to have to go through it anyway. So you might as well, you know, go through it as easily and joyfully and gently as you can. So that's what self-love will do. And it also, self-love will tell you, like people that are on diets, for example, and they try all these different diets. Well, the easiest diet is self-love. If you self-love yourself, self-love is going to tell you what to eat, what not to eat. And nobody's going to have to be sitting there, "Oh, you shouldn't be eating that. You shouldn't be doing this. You shouldn't." Nobody's going to do that, because self-love's going to say, you know, "Wouldn't it be nicer?" It's going to talk to you like this, instead of saying, "You shouldn't be," you know, "Wouldn't it be nicer if, you know, that those stomach issues that you have and stuff, if you just maybe ate some celery and did some things to, you know, get a little fiber in there," and, you know, and you go, "Oh yeah, you know what, I think I might try that," you know. And so it has a different feeling to it, a different energy to it. And then self-love will also teach you how to respect yourself, because nobody can respect you like you can respect yourself. And it will teach you how to not, as I mentioned before, not to be so hard on yourself. How to, like, if somebody doesn't respect you, and you know, how to, like, say, "Hey, you know, this person isn't, you know, treating me with respect, so I'm going to, let them know about it. And if they keep doing it, I'm going to pull away and I'm not going to feel guilty about it because I love myself, and I'll let them figure it out, and then I'll just look for people who are more respectful and who are going to love me like I can, love others. So it teaches you all of that. That's just the tip of the iceberg. Yeah.
Very good.
Yeah.
Now, you also brought up how triggers are used as tools when processing your childhood traumas. And you mentioned the string technique. Can you just touch base a little bit on this?
Yeah, that's you can look. One of the ways that I like to look at triggers is it represents the darkness. It's not the boogeyman. The darkness is the ally of the light. In order to find the light, we've got to go into the darkness. Mm-hmm. The darkness is what causes the pain, the suffering, things of that nature, which is awesome because that says, makes you go, oh crap, I got something there, and how that occurs, like triggers and stuff occurs. Basically, when you shine light into a subject, it makes it feel uncomfortable, and you see maybe a reflection of yourself in somebody else, and you think as you're maybe communicating or interacting with somebody, it's them doing it to you. But the trick is to integrate that, never were you the victim, but always the creator. So once you integrate that, then you can look at it more from the reflection perspective, like, oh, the universe is reflecting something. So now you've just shifted that victim reality and turned it into a tool that will better assist you. So now you're looking at it as a reflection and you're going like, well, why did that piss me off? How did that make me feel? Which is the trigger part, that caused you to feel that way and stuff. And then when you start asking yourself those questions, you go into the feelings that come up, which is the darkness. It may be sorrow, pain, whatever. And then you start expressing and letting that stuff out, and once you do that, that saying, it's better out than in. So you're letting it out. That stuff could have been in there for tens of thousands of years. You were born with that stuff in your DNA and everything. And your reflection so gracefully and lovingly reflected that to you because of the love that the universe has for you, so that you could see it, to cause the pain and the suffering, to give you the incentive to become the seed of light and grow out from the darkness into the light. That, if you choose to see it that way, then or a way similar to that, you'll break the victim, I guess, yeah, the victim mentality, yeah. And you won't be and you'll grow the most rapid you'll ever imagine, and eventually you'll make it to heaven, because heaven is a feeling. It's not a place we go when we die. Heaven is when you feel happy, joyful, good about yourself, you accept yourself the way you are, and you live in the moment, which is, they call that the present. And a present is a gift. It's a gift to be in the moment. So you don't sit around and when you let go of things from the past, it will automatically translate into not worrying about what's going to happen in the future, what's going to happen tomorrow. If something happens tomorrow, you deal with it in the moment when it happens, if it happens. You know, you don't want to like start a little fire and then that fire, you know, nothing happens. You're sitting there for a day or two or a week worrying about this thing that may never ever happen. You know, that brings you into hell, into what I would consider a hell reality. So when something does happen, deal with it in the moment. And as soon as you deal with it, then forget about it. Now it's become the past. It no longer exists anymore. So that's why doing work on ourselves and looking at reflections and doing the inner work is important, because it breaks the bondage from the connection to the past. And we won't be acting and reacting coming from things that happened way back. It's fantasy. It doesn't even exist anymore. You can call it the boogeyman, you can call it whatever you want, but that's, you know, you don't want to live in the past. So
Would you consider the trigger is the way, or one of the ways, the subconscious knocks on your door to get your attention to work on something? And so you open that door by exploring.
yes.
Start that journey, no matter how painful or excruciating it feels. But you told me this, and I truly believe it 100%, that once you go walk through all that crap, on the other side of it, you're going to say to yourself, boy, that was worth it, because you're finally released from all that baggage you've been carrying. Like you said, it could be for millennia, because this is I've had experiences of that, where, especially with finances and learning that, I was carrying all the DNA lineage of all the poverty, the depression, the struggles that the pioneers went through. We carry that with us, and we get to work on it. And if we work on it, not only we heal ourselves, we heal everybody on some level or
amount. Right. Well, because of the oneness.
Exactly. And that's one of my questions.
It's impossible not to heal everybody when you hear yourself. But look at this. You know, when you get triggered, instead of looking at it in a bad way, negative way, look at it as in a woo-hoo way, you know, because, oh, I get it. I found something, you know. Think about this. If we don't think healing triggers is an important thing to do, well, think about this. When you were born, your triggers is what caused you to create the mother and father that you have, the siblings you have, all of the crap and the shit that happened to you when you were growing up, all of those the realities from the past that are connected to triggers created all of that to happen. So if we heal all of that and let those things go, become more in the present, self-loving, things of that nature, when we leave here, if we come back to Earth, it could be our last time. We might be reincarnated in another reality, like maybe, our star-born ancestor reality, like a Plagerian or whatever, because we've, made it to that level, right?
Right.
But if we do come back, our parents are going to be more loving. They're going to be more, nurturing. Things are going to be different, a lot different. But if we don't do it, if we don't do the work, we'll just keep recreating the same scenario over and over and over and over. And that's what they call, an old soul. My angels told me what an old soul is a slow learner.
Right.
Yeah, that's why we keep coming back. Yeah.
So if we keep coming back, And if we keep doing the same thing over and over again and don't work on it, isn't that the definition of insanity? You're trying to get your
Exactly.
outcome, but you're not going to get it. So you might, if you're here and you're alive, you might as well work on it and get her done. That's
Yeah, it's kind of silly, you know.
now. Just can you touch base on the string technique? I know that is something that you came up with.
Okay. Yeah, the string technique is a technique that I used. It's kind of a visualization thing, and you do it with your feelings. So like when, let's say an issue comes up, you're talking to a loved one or whatever, or somebody at the store, and they trigger the crap out of you, you know, and you come home and you go, that so-and-so, you know, they're an idiot or whatever. If any time we have any of those feelings, that is the big bell ringing, you know. It's like, that's how you know what to do next in your spiritual evolutionary process. You don't have to go out and go to all these different modalities and learn all this different stuff. Just follow your triggers. That will tell you what to do next. And so then you just sit down in a chair and start doing some deep breathing, and you get into, you ask yourself, well, why did that I feel that way? Because see, they didn't make you feel that way. Your perception of reality is what caused you to feel that way. They just went in there and scratched it a little bit, you know, touched it, you know, so they did that for you.
It's a gift.
Yeah, it's a gift,
right?
Out of love, and that was God doing that to you.
Yes.
So it didn't kill you, did it? It just made you pissed off. That's all. So you go home and you sit down in a chair. Well, how did that make me feel? Why did it make me feel that way? And then that's when the string appears, and you just start pulling it towards you. And when you're pulling it towards you, your emotions is what causes it to get closer and closer. You just follow the emotions, and then when you get to the end of it, things will start popping up inside your consciousness. Well, I remember that time my dad, you know, he told me I was an idiot or something like that, you know, and he came over and whacked me upside the head. And then all you have to do is, you know, then you might, and then you'll go like, well, maybe that must be it, because it feels the same. And then you grab with your, you use your imagination, and you bring that situation into your consciousness that happened to you in the day that triggered you, into the, and put it side by side with the time you were called an idiot. You know, we're just using this example. Your dad hit you upside the head or whatever, and you bring it, and you'll notice that the feelings and the emotions match. And once you do that, that is called the truth, and the truth shall set you free. You know, you dug down to where you found. So what will happen? What happens at that point? It's like magic. It just goes, and you go like, oh,
yeah.
It wasn't what they did. It was what happened back then. I didn't let that go. I'm going to let that go. I choose to let that go because it doesn't do me any service, and it doesn't create what my goal is, which is heaven on earth, love myself. It doesn't resonate with those peace, joy, inner peace, inner joy, inner happiness. It doesn't, this reality doesn't resonate with that. Therefore, it's an illusion. It doesn't, you know, it doesn't belong here. It's like oil and water. So I'm going to let it go. And see, that's what gives you the incentive. And then that will, once you let that go, then love, joy, peace, abundance, and all that will manifest and grow inside of you bigger, because there's an empty space in there now. So now you can express that more and be more of a channel of that, and everything. The ripple effects of that is very powerful. So that's the purpose and the reason and the incentive to let go of things from the past, because then you become more, and you spread out and you encompass more of the universe, which is you, and you can express it more too.
And as you keep doing this, focusing on this type of inner work over and over, it becomes even easier,
Oh,
becomes faster. And if I can give an example, just the other day,
on a
my
dime.
car engine light came on unexpectedly, so I had to go drive to this car shop. I was the only one in the lobby, and then a woman showed up, and she has her computer and her stuff, and she's typing away really fast and hard. And I'm sitting there realizing now she's doing this for a reason. Okay, so that's my higher self or God or me. And I said out loud to the auto mechanic in charge of the shop, I said, it feels so good to sit here without my computer, no clients, doing absolutely nothing. And then I just remember, let's just focus on my breath. And I just focus on the breath. And I was feeling such peace. And I said, is there anything to be of concern? And one of the things I love to remind myself is I've got money to pay for this emergency. And I know that it will come out to the perfect amount that I have. And sure enough, it did. And everything just came out so smoothly. And I did not get my shorts in a wad or irritated with somebody clicking away fast all the time. It's like a little bee. Okay. Now, at the same time, I respected who she is and where she's at, because maybe she's a mom, she's got children at home to feed, and she's got to keep on working while her car gets worked on. And this is where she's at, and I am totally okay with it.
Yeah.
So there was nothing for me to say to her, or I just allowed her her activity. And I felt very comfortable, and we did have some nice conversations here and there during our time together. And so
Yeah, that's
yeah,
very good.
it does work. So
Yes. Most people, I know I struggled a lot at the beginning with doing nothing, because when I was a kid, they told me that was being lazy.
right.
But what I realized is that oftentimes doing nothing is doing something.
Hmm.
So, like, for example, if a person is doing something that, repeating, you're interacting with them, and they keep doing something within your interaction over and over and over and over again, and then we keep reacting to it over and over and over and over again, and create this big fire, and these things go up, blow up. But what would happen if we went into that situation and this person starts doing this stuff and we did nothing?
Yeah.
What that would do, because see, most of the time when we do this fire stoking, I call it, it's because of our addictions. We feed each other's addiction. And when you take away their drug of choice, which in this case would be me, and I realized that, oh, I'm their drug of choice, so I took myself out of the equation. Well, then that puts on them the responsibility to find it themselves. They're not caught in an illusion loop.
Right.
They're not caught in that loop. I broke the loop by doing nothing. Yeah. And so now they're going to go like, well, that Lance didn't get upset with me, and he didn't, how come? And, it's going to start them to start thinking about stuff like that. Well, maybe it's, it is me. Maybe it, and stuff like that. Maybe I need to, and that will cause them to grow.
And that's how we help each other.
Yeah, but if we keep playing the game, we're not helping anybody.
Right.
Because, they might not be ready to see what's going on, and they can't see it.
Because we haven't got it yet.
Yeah, but what matters is that one person sees what's going on here.
Yeah.
Because they grew enough to be able to go, oh, I know what I need to do. Nothing. Just turn your face around like that, walk away, and go the other way. Sit down under a tree and, drink a big cup of tea or something. Look at the clouds, whatever.
Yeah. Okay, thank you for that. Now, something really cool in your book, you brought out words create our reality.
Yeah.
And when I was reading this chapter, I said to myself, holy cow, Lance has touched upon a concept, a therapeutic modality called neuro-linguistic programming. And for anybody who doesn't know what that is, I got a little definition here. NLP is therapy intended to educate people's self-awareness and effective communications, which in turn changes patterns of mental and emotional behavior. And of course, I imagine we all want that to be in a positive direction, or
of course, yeah.
So but you came up with this all by yourself without even knowing about NLP. People pay for certification programs to become an NLP practitioner, and so what'd you like to say about this? Because you have some really cool things in your books.
Well, the main thing I want to say is that, as you were saying, I came up with that by myself, which tells us that we can get information.
Right.
We don't need to go around, look around for all kinds of things, unless, we do. It's like real strong inside of us. Like, I need to go, Google this or whatever, But, and in my book, it teaches how to open that ability up through different modalities to learn how to access that information, because it's limitless. Like Einstein, the theory of relativity, he didn't get that in his little, this brain. He got that in the big brain. He tapped into that and pulled that out of the ethers. So that's what we all have the ability to do. We just don't trust it, because it's very challenging to trust that when we're being bombarded by, commercials, and, our school systems and things of that nature. This is how you're supposed to do it. This is how it's always been done for, 4,000 years. Well, hello, what about, evolution, or, growing, expanding, what happened 4,000 years ago? If we would have expanded our consciousness, they say we learn from our mistakes. I don't believe we've ever learned from our mistakes, because if we did, we'd be like the ETs.
More advanced by now.
Yeah, a lot more advanced, a lot more loving. Our technology would be extremely advanced. But yeah, words, they definitely create our reality, simply because, we're here to dissolve the illusion of separateness. So we came from God, from the God source. That means we are not separate from God. God is a creator. What does that mean? That means that we're creators too.
Right.
How could we not be a creator? It's impossible.
Yeah.
So the universe that we think's out there is really inside of us.
Yeah.
Yeah. So when we speak certain words, like, for example, I use this example in my book, cold. We say, oh, I'm cold. We don't surrender to cold, because surrendering to cold would be, it would have no definition, and you would just feel something touching your skin. It wouldn't have the effect on you anymore of going like this and getting your jacket and stuff, because you just surrender to it. But if cold means to you, oh man, when I was a kid, I was driving with my parents and it was snowing really bad and they got a flat tire and I went out there and I was helping and my toes got frostbitten, and oh, it was terrible. And it has all this emotional charge to it. Well, whenever it gets cold, our consciousness will go back and react. And so we say the word cold for, God, it's cold in here. And once we say that, the little connection is made and all the emotions and everything from that starts coming in. So that's why it's important to know thyself, know where your words go, and also be careful, extremely careful about thinking about negative things too much, like bad things are going to happen to me, people are going to take advantage of me, you can't trust anybody, things like that. Because if you do that, then you'll attract and manifest all of those scenarios to happen to you, to keep you in that loop. You'll just keep doing it. Everybody you talk to will try to deceive you and try to, because you're empowering it by feeding that reality, because you keep speaking it. It's powerful.
I think of it in terms of the universe is always listening.
Yeah.
The universe loves you so much because the universe is the oneness, right? Mm-hmm. And so the universe will give you everything that you're focusing on. So if you focus on the negative, the universe will give you more to confirm that negative situation or circumstance or outcome or whatever. I have demonstrated this to myself over and over again. And I know if I can't be positive, then at least be neutral.
Yeah.
Ask for the best outcome. And that gives it's a general way of expressing it, so that the universe can fill in all the wonderful details of a positive outcome. And it's worked over and over again. Once I finally got that. Yeah, I'm a slow learner.
Yeah.
Did all that negative stuff for many years. I was a victim, until I finally wised up in my 40s. That's how long it took me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I will say this, thank God for the angels.
Yeah.
Because if they weren't there, they catch a lot of our stuff and make it so it doesn't manifest.
Yeah.
And they do that because if they didn't, we wouldn't learn our lessons, because we just keep blowing ourselves up. Killing, we'd walk down the street to go get a thing of milk and somebody come over and blow our brains out or something like that, for example,
Right. It's not our time to go.
Yeah. So we haven't learned that lesson yet. So they keep blocking it so that, we finally,
yeah.
But once you start realizing that you're the one that's doing it, it's not, God, the reason why it works and people create bad things in their life is because God or the universe, whatever you want to call it, is unconditional love. It's just a manifester. It's like a big yes machine, so if you go, oh, life sucks, it's all people are this. Yes, it is. Yes. Your wish, your wish is my command, and it's given to you lovingly, in abundance. So, but once we sit down through our meditations and things like that and be honest, and that's part of what's in my book. I talk about a technique where you sit down and think about all the bad things that happened to you and get honest about what you were thinking before those things happened and what your thought processes were like, and if you're honest, you're going to see that, oh yeah, for years I always think that, I better be careful about this, walking on eggshells, because if I react like this, people are going to think this about me or that about me, and it's going to cause them to do something. So I gotta act a different way when I interact with people. I can't express myself, let that out and be me, because if I do, the big hand's going to come down and grab me and start shaking me on the ground. Well, once you realize that you're doing that, well, then that's another form of truth, of knowing thyself. And then you realize, well, God, that's, very confining. I can never be me. I feel like I'm trapped, like I'm in bondage, and then so once you realize that, well, then that's what really gives you the incentive to go oh crap, I need to get rid of that. People are going to think about me whatever they want to think about me based on their perception of reality anyway. That's none of my business. I have no control over that. So I might as well just be me and let the chips fly where they may,
Now, you mentioned the oneness, and this goes into a nice segue to my next question about healing through the oneness. Back in 2007, I experienced the oneness in the middle of the night. I think I was coming out of the dream state, and I was semi-awake, and I still remember it like it happened yesterday or even 2 minutes ago. I could feel and understand there is no separation among anything, any concept, opinion, sound, emotion, feeling, third dimensional, people, animals, the universe, everything.
Yeah.
It was all one. And I think that was given to me, probably by myself, right? Because we create our reality. But that was showing myself that there's no separation at all.
Exactly.
How healing do you think that was for me?
Well, it's very healing, because that was the beginning. When that happened to you, that was the beginning of your awareness, like, dang, we are all one. Well, once that started, that was the seed. And from there, you started when you notice, like, every time you look at the clock, you see 444, or you turn on a radio and it answers your question. From there, you started connecting the dots. You were going like, oh, well, that's how that works, because it's not separate from me. It's not really them doing it. It's me telling me through another aspect of my, you could even look at it as a coexisting reality of yourself. You could look at it that way also. That expands your consciousness and makes you bigger. When you could look at a clock and see 55 or 44, and use the symbolic, that's a language of the universe. Symbology is a language of the universe. Okay, so then you might ask a question, turn on a radio, and the radio answers your question. Yes. That radio isn't separate from you. Yes. That's why it works. Yes. Yeah, and you could be sitting under a tree and ask a question, and the tree blows the branch in a certain way and makes a certain sound or something, and that will trigger an awareness inside it. Well, that in essence, that tree just spoke to you. you know? So that's the way, in order to have a more larger and expansive consciousness
or awareness.
or awareness to the oneness,
Mhm.
we have to start embracing all of those aspects of ourselves. Once we do that, then this becomes like a tarot deck. This is actually, I'm just giving it as an example because a tarot deck is a physical
Mhm.
thing that a lot of people use. And, it's like Reiki, it's very common. It's very, well, that's how tarot decks work. It's not really magic, it's you. And you're just tapping in to the answer, and your consciousness and everything is all connected to it. So you're always going to grab the right card. It's impossible.
Yes.
And so, and the thing about the way you decipher the card through its symbology, you're going to decipher it based on where you're at in the moment, and where the feelings and emotions and the way it speaks to you is going to be different from the way somebody else is going to look at it. It's going to speak, because they're going to, like, you might look at that card and see, the woman has a red dress on, whereas the other person looks at it and they won't even notice that red dress. They'll be looking at the eyes. Oh, they're green eyes. That means they're focused on the heart, stuff like that. So that's why it's everybody gets a different reading, even if they get the same card. If everybody picked the same card, every one of them would get a different reading because of the frequency and the resonance that connects with that card. It's going to gravitate their eyes and their consciousness to looking at certain aspects of it, and other aspects they won't even see.
Right. Yeah.
So that's what we're always doing.
Yeah. And or like down the road, you look at something that you looked at before and see something different.
Yeah.
And then it's so applicable to where you're at now, and you realize, holy moly, if I only knew back then, but it's okay. How cool that it's being shown to me right now, that I'm finally realizing it. So
that's how masterful the universe is. And if you open up to it, it becomes instantaneous. Yeah. And it becomes really funny, hilarious.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah. Because, for example, one thing I love is like being in a group of a lot of people, because I literally, and I know that I'm doing it, which makes it even better.
Yeah.
Because I just sit down in the chair and I ask myself a question, and I just sit there, and all of a sudden, somebody will sound louder than the other people when they're talking. That person was always talking, it was always, but my consciousness magnifies that person's conversation, and it sounds like they're talking out of context. Mm-hmm. But it's exactly the answer.
Right.
And you go like, okay, thank you very much. And at the beginning, it was, when I first started noticing it, was like, wow, look at that. The universe answered me through that. It was like a big, but then as I started growing in it, it became a part of who I was. And then once and that was the intention of it. That's what the journey and the process led up to, was me to finally get to where, oh, that's normal. That's the way it's supposed to be. So that's why the process that we go through is the most important. It's more important than what we're talking about, and giving information to people. The process is the most important part, because that turns a person into a fisherman instead of feeding them a fish for a day, like it says in the Bible. Yeah.
And I feel it's important for people to have a meditation practice. Start out small, short, work your way up to longer time. But through meditation is where you can access altered states of consciousness to help you to understand these concepts.
Exactly.
Because our brain, our conscious mind, ego, has a hard time accepting these concepts of the oneness. But once you experience it in another state of being, could be the theta state, the theta awareness that we do in hypnosis, or as you go to sleep or wake up from sleep, that is when you can access that information and have the experience, and no one can take that away from you, because
Exactly.
it's your experience. It doesn't
Exactly.
matter what happened to anybody else, it's yours, and that is your belief. And wow, I think you advance yourself by having those experiences in meditation. Yeah, and meditation can be done many different ways, but it's so important to have some type of meditation practice, whatever that is.
Yes. And you see, meditation is like the school of earth.
Mhm.
You know, we know the school of earth very well. Why do we know it so well? Because we've been here and lived here and kept doing the same thing over and over again until we became it.
Right.
Now we believe this reality like it's a brick, like it's a solid concrete reality.
But it's
Well, that's what meditation is, the same thing, except that it is more of a heavenly, spiritual, heavenly perspective of reality. And so what happens is we start meditating, and then little teeny tiny subtle little things. You know, when you start meditating, it's not going to blast you with all this light and information and something all at once, because if it did, you'd explode.
right.
It'd be too much. So then, you know, it gradually, you know, starts revealing, well, you know, I could do this, I could do that. Well, God, I've never thought of that before, you know, and stuff like that starts happening. And then once you get a lot of those, oh, I never thought of that before, and start contemplating that as a possibility, and then start practicing it, well, guess what happens? You become it. And eventually you'll become the
More,
meditation. Yeah, more.
no
And
more.
be an awakened, like in an awakened meditative state, where you just keep expanding, expanding, expanding. And the more you expand, the more you embrace the bigger picture of you, because you're touching more elements of yourself that were hidden, that were secret, that were, you know, but now it's like, oh, yeah, you know, yeah, that's, you know, I see that now. So the work part of it won't be work anymore. It will be easy,
Yeah,
because you'll just be in the moment. And when
right.
something new comes up, you just go like, something new came up. That's cool. And then you start playing with that until it reveals to you its little secrets and stuff. And then that becomes you know, and you went through the process of it. And so now when you talk about what you learned from there, you're going to talk about it with confidence. You're going to talk with it about it as coming from a knowing space, instead of a theoretical thinking, oh, well, that might exist
Right, right.
place.
Yeah.
And so people are going to, you know, believe that you believe.
Yes.
It's going to be easier for them to believe because you believe it. And why do you believe it? It's not because you think it exists, it's because you know it exists.
Very
It's like
good.
star-born ancestors. I know they exist.
We're going to talk about that in a moment.
Yeah.
I want to touch base on, I think there's the chapter on suicide. And if we can cut to the chase and just ask this one question: why is it important not to commit suicide?
Because number one, it's very selfish. Number two, which is the most important reason, it steals the ability to give and receive love. Because when we die the old-fashioned way, I guess you might say, you get old or whatever, or maybe, whatever, a car blows up or something, at least it's clean, right? But when we die, some souls, they have a desire to be of service and to help a soul and give love to that soul, because it's a part of their evolutionary process for them to grow and expand into the consciousness of receiving and giving more love, which would be more effective for all of us. It would expand the consciousness of the world. So when we kill ourselves, it denies and stops that opportunity to take place, and it could take longer. It takes longer for us to experience it, because the ripple effect of that soul going through the process of helping that person and stuff like that is tremendous, because you have no idea what kind of connection this soul has to that person that committed suicide, what past lives are connected to it, what energies are connected to that relationship, and how it's going to heal their whole family tree. In the Bible, it talks about the 10-generation plague, 10 generations of, I believe that that's what it means. It means that, like maybe a family in one time in in one life went through a tremendous thing, like a war or a battle or something, and they suffered a lot of suffering and, loss of family, loss of everything. And it really put a negative ripple effect in the consciousness of the whole family. Well, that has to be healed, because if it isn't, how could they possibly find love in inner peace? It's impossible. Well, we're trying to heal that between us, and that doesn't only heal us, our little family, it heals anybody who resonates with that frequency. That's why it's important to stay here till the end.
I've heard that if you do commit suicide, you have to come back.
Yeah.
You have to come back
right away.
Same experience level. In other words, you
Yep.
get to do it all over again.
That's right.
And if there's a chance that this has to be even more difficult, I would rather get through this any way possible, but still continue my life journey and search for that modality, that treatment, that whatever that will crack that nut of depression and self-loathing, shame, guilt, because that's all, these are emotions that we're meant to experience, but we're also meant to process that and be able to put that aside and go, you know what, that's what happened, and that's the way it is, and I will accept the consequences of whatever my actions or inactions were, and I will do that because it's possible. I've heard of people actually going to to jail or prison, and because of something they did, and while they're in the prison or jail, they actually provided beautiful ministry to other people they're in there. So maybe that person was meant to do that. That was part of what they signed up for.
Exactly.
But if you suicide, you didn't allow that to happen. So you kind of screw things up a little bit here.
That's why you can't judge things.
Right.
It's fruitless.
Yeah.
The fruitless endeavor. just, let it be, speaking words of wisdom, let it be, like God
Yeah.
says.
Now there's discernment. There's, deciding what's right, what's wrong,
Yeah,
what's
that's
for
right.
you, what's not for you.
Well, not really right and wrong, but what I don't like to look at things in right and wrong, because then that implements judgment.
It was the duality. That's what I'm talking
Yeah,
about.
it's like a duality. It's like really, we're looking for a feeling.
Right.
And all of those, like going to jail, murdering people and all that, there are no victims, there's only creators. And this is the part that people, when I talk about that, they kind of go like this,
Right. Right.
because it doesn't make sense, because we're in a reality of judgment, good and bad, right and wrong. Well, that doesn't really exist. Nobody did anything wrong. Was the volcano wrong when it erupted and killed 20,000 people at its feet? No, it's a volcano, for crying out loud. It erupts. If you don't
Right.
want to get killed by a volcano, move
Right.
away from the volcano. So, there's no victims, only creators, right?
Right.
So, but, there's a lot of things in the background of why things happen,
Mm-hmm.
and it's not viewed or seen from an earthly perspective. It's seen through the eyes of love. That's the heavenly, or the God way, or whatever you want to call it. Even the victims, quote, have a say in the matter, and they are the victim to fulfill this energetic interaction in order to stimulate freedom. And both people are going to win.
Both souls, because we don't ever die.
Both souls are going to win, because they're both going to learn something from that, which will accelerate them and lift them to love. It's all about love. Love is it. That's the best thing and the highest thing you can ever do. And the highest thing that you can ever do for humanity is to work on yourself, because of the oneness. We're here to dissolve the illusion of separateness. That means that everybody you see and everything you see is you. So if you help heal yourself, you're healing the whole, everything, at different levels. They still have to, but you put like a little tiny little something in there, and then they, through their choices and perceptions, will gravitate, see that little teeny light inside of them, and go, what's that little thing over there? A little sparkly thing, and they'll start oh, I've never seen that before. That, what? And then they'll start contemplating that. And the contemplation, I call that the watering the seed that they planted. Your contemplation is the water. And then it starts growing, and as it starts expanding, then you start seeing more of it. Once you start seeing more of it, then more contemplation comes in, which is adding more water and more nutrients. And it keeps getting bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger, until all of a sudden you have the born again moment. The light bulb comes on. I see it now. That's when you are literally a little baby, just born. And then from that born again moment is where you start growing in that reality, and you expand and get bigger and bigger into adulthood. And then, we keep doing that over and over and over and over again on different facets of reality, until we discover we're God, we achieve enlightenment, we make it to heaven. You don't have to die to go to heaven. Heaven is on earth because you're on earth, and heaven resides within you. So if you want earth on heaven, find it inside of yourself. And
Have
then
an-
the ripple effect of that will help us all, and then we'll all be in heaven. We'll be like the Plegarians, we'll be doing the work that we love to do. We won't, need money anymore because, I do what I do, they do what they do. And if I need what they have, they'll give it to me. And if they need what I have, I give it to them. Who cares at the end of the day? Yeah.
Thank you for that. And what a beautiful segue into my last question about our extraterrestrials, our dear starborn ancestors, our dear aliens, whatever.
Yeah.
They don't care what we call them.
No, they don't. No.
Yeah. Everything is energy anyway. Everything is love.
Yeah.
So what would you like to bring forth on this part of the book to share with us to kind of
what I would
whistle here?
What I'd recommend, the alien subject can be a little bit scary for people, but eventually all roads will lead to that. And it's coming out now, even the government is admitting now that, and in my perception and my belief, I believe the reason why, for example, the movies we watch, how all the alien movies are, they're coming to get us, they're going to shoot us, they got big long teeth, they're going to eat us, they're going to do this, they're going to do that. Well, there's powers to be, so to speak, that know, where do you think like the monks got all of those like ideas of how to tone and chants and all that? They got it from them. They've been doing that for probably billions of years before the monks got that information. But there's a reason why our starborn ancestors have been hidden from us. Because if we all believed and started interacting with them, then we wouldn't be flaking arrowheads anymore, if you know what I mean, symbolically. We wouldn't still be having wars, which is silly, childish. Why do we need to kill people to have freedom? You can get freedom by letting go of the past. That's free. You don't have to murder somebody. You don't have to do any of that stuff. You don't have to prove your right to have freedom. Freedom is allowing somebody to be themselves and allowing yourself to be yourself and be okay with it. That's freedom. That means you don't have to worry about what your neighbor's doing. Hell, if they want to, be upside down, and stick an incense up their nose or whatever and light it, that's fine. That's what they believe. But the ETs, I believe, is a very important facet of our evolutionary process. It's extremely important because, they call this the planet of the children. Well, wouldn't you like to grow up and have more love and more peace and get rid of all this silliness? Believing in the illusion and playing these silly little games, being controlled by, listening to commercials, and the people who make those commercials know that we don't love ourselves and we're addicted to happiness. They created addictions to happiness, joy, love, and peace. And so we associate that with an addiction. That's why we take drugs. If we have joy, peace, and happiness in us, we don't need drugs, because happiness, joy, peace, and love would be the best drug that ever existed on the planet. So the reason why commercials work and keep us in the consumption mode is because if you watch closely, every commercial has a generated feeling implemented in its structure. Like, you see the family sitting around having what looks like a Thanksgiving dinner. What does that cause us to do? Oh, I love it at Thanksgiving. I love being there. It makes me feel so good. Well, they've already created a feeling inside of you now. That's the hook. And so then all of a sudden, here comes the flash of drive this car and you'll have this feeling. And then that car image goes away, and then they show the image of the people sitting there. And then they'll use words like, this will make you feel good, this will make you happy, this will make you go out and have adventure, this will be adventurous. You don't need to have stuff to create that reality.
Yeah, because that's all that stuff is stimulating the amygdala, which is the addiction center of your brain. And after you've acquired whatever it is or how much, then that subsides, and
and then you're back
again.
Yeah,
you get more and more,
and
then you wonder, when is enough enough?
You know why? What I see is that it keeps us in the loop of wanting. It forces us to get the money, which is a man-made creation and is the bondage.
Right.
So that's why they wanted to wipe out the Native American people, is because did they have money? No, they had beautiful freaking houses. They were living, they built whatever they wanted. They worked together as a community. They believed in the star people. They did have some things that, that I don't agree with, but there were aspects, like, for example, this is my land, and fight for their land and stuff. Nobody owns the land. It's for us. We all borrow. We borrow the land. Yeah. And if you really, in reality, if you think about it, when you die, do you take your house with you? Do you take your cars with you? No, you're just borrowing it. You don't really own it. And
you are the land.
Yeah, exactly.
Country. You're the oceans. You're right in the oneness. So, yeah.
I see us, we're working for the miner, the person who owns the mine. We go in there and we dig for the gold. And we go, oh, we got all this money. And then we go down to the store and buy the food. Well, who owns the store? The miner. Who owns the hospital? The miner. Who owns the house? The person who owns the mine. Who owns the hospitals? The person who owns the mine. Who owns the gas station? The person who owns the mine. So you're giving the money that we're working so hard for back to the person. Yeah. So it's an illusion. You're not really getting anything. Yeah. So, that's the thing that, they don't want us to see, because then, the money thing will be broken.
Yeah.
And the other thing is the healing thing is what they don't want us to see. Yeah. We can heal anything we want inside of us. You don't really, have to do it the way that we've been taught. There's some things that we do only because, have to do it the way that we've been taught. Like we might have to take a pill or something for something.
Have surgery.
Yeah, have a surgery or something like that. But to the extent and level that your belief systems shift, eventually some of that stuff will drop off. But when it hasn't dropped off, by all means, go to the doctor, take the pills until you achieve, and then once you achieve that reality, then, some of those aspects can start dropping off. But, you don't do it until it's proven to you, and you believe. Yeah, otherwise you could die.
So, I was reading recently in a course I just finished on mind hacking happiness, that meditation, it helps our telomeres, which is the end cap on our DNA strands,
Mhm.
and it helps that to keep intact, and it can actually lengthen it because that telomere, according to the research that's been done, if you go along your life and you don't work on yourself and practice meditation, those telomeres actually disintegrate. And when they disintegrate, the body dies. That's what
Yeah.
they found. So that's just another solid, tangible uh, reason for meditation and doing the inner work.
Yeah.
You and I both have done a lot of inner work, and the people in our
Whole life.
circle. And there's tears were shed, sweat was done.
Yeah. Exactly.
Many
A
different
lot of
ways.
weight was lost,
There you go.
but,
Um, and
metaphorically and physically.
but man, I think you agree with me. I'm so glad I went through all this experience. And now my prayer is very simple to God. Thank you for everything.
Yeah,
Thank you
gratitude.
for my whole life and everything I experienced, even the things I didn't like, things that were tough.
Well, in the Bible it says you sow what you reap. So gratitude begets gratitude.
Yeah.
If you are always constantly grateful for everything, the cup of coffee you have,
Yes.
water you drink, the bed you sleep in, the universe says, I'm grateful. That's what it does.
Yeah.
And
So we
so
can
it
do some
just
more.
starts, what happens is the floodgates will open up for more gratitude. More really cool, happy things will start happening, because it has to, because the reflection aspect of the universe is a constant in the universe. It's impossible to get rid of it. And it's real. It's the realest thing that's not an illusion. You know what I mean? Like some of the stuff I was talking about with media, with the commercials and stuff, that's all illusion based.
Right. Right.
So the reflection will never be illusional, and love is another part of the universe that will never be fantasy or
Yeah. Because it's all love.
Yeah, see, that's what if we had all of that and realized we could get all of that by doing this work, we, this, not everybody cares about having a mansion on top of the house with, 150 different cars of all different makes. Some people just love to sit down in a chair and, look at the clouds blow by. Oh, look at that one. Oh,
Yeah.
that's pretty. Oh, look at how it's changing. Oh, do you hear
Or
that bird? Hear that bird?
night sky.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and to them, that's Taj Mahal. Well, the Taj Mahal resides within you. Find the Taj Mahal in you, and you could live anywhere and still be in the Taj Mahal. So that's the whole thing. That's the reason for doing this work. And that's what this book is all about. This book is from, blood, sweat, and tears of working really hard, doing it the old way, trusting in the universe, believing in it, asking questions. And even in the Bible, it says, you have not because you ask not. So ask, and if an idea comes to you, let's say, for example, you ask a question and you keep having the same dream over and over and over and over again, and you don't know how to translate it. You're going like, this must mean something because I keep having the same thing over and over and over again. How can I figure it out? And then see what comes to you. And then, what comes to you may be, oh, I know. I think they have dream books with symbology. Maybe I can get a dream book, and you get that dream book. And in my book, I explain about how to program. See, that's how I learned how to program. Most people, they don't talk about programming a dream book. Well, what would happen if you bought a dream book, for example, and you said, I create that every dream I have corresponds with this book 100% because I'm choosing to use this as a tool. So be it. Well, think about how your dreams are going to cater to that reality from that point on, because the universe is going to be in cahoots with that.
Right, right.
Yeah, so it's going to be exactly, your dreams are going to be really different from that point on, because they're going to be matching what's in that book. That's how you can utilize your abilities and utilize the universe to your advantage.
And what if a person, has a dream book and is sitting there and meditating on the elements, what their higher self is trying to tell them through their dreams, through those symbols? What if they still can't truly figure it all out or feel that there's something else there? What can they do?
Well, that's where healers and dream interpreters, that's where they come in. Your soul, as I mentioned before, this whole place is like a tarot deck card. Well, the reason why is because it's all about energy. That's why your head turns and looks at something. That something, as you're thinking about something, projects an energy, and your consciousness picks it up because it resonates inside of you. Well, that's how you choose the healers. You go through the internet or whatever, and maybe you're not even looking for a healer. And you're like looking on Facebook or something, and you're like reading things and stuff. And I'll just use me as an example because I do dream interpretations. And you go, hey, this Lance Heard, he interpreted this dream for this person. God, that really resonates with me. I can feel that something inside of me. I think I'm going, who is that guy? And then you go and you type in, Lance Heard, and my website comes up. Oh God, that guy does dream interpret. That's how the universe works. It will just automatically happen.
Yeah.
And then you go like, well, dang, man, when he interpreted that dream for that person, it really resonated with me. I think I'm going to get a dream interpretation with this guy. Do it. It's not, the way I see it, I've taken people out, for ceremonies and all kinds of stuff. And I've had several people tell me, Lance, it's amazing when I ask you a question on something that I've been working really hard on, you give me this answer and it just, pop, everything opens up and it changes my whole life. How come I can't do that? And you can just see it so easy. And I said, it's because you haven't seen that you are doing it. I'm not separate from you. I'm just a part of you that has the answer to that.
Right.
So you accessed that part of you, and this is what that part of you looks like.
Yes. Yes.
And
Lance, I can affirm that you are really good at dream interpretation. I mean, throughout the years, anytime I had a little problem understanding something, or I felt like, well, I think I got it figured out, and then you'll just pop right in with another perspective, and wow, it's just perfect. Like, okay, yeah, I get it. So That's why I always highly recommend you to people.
That's where thank you.
So you have
Go ahead.
a website,
Yeah.
okay, and it's lanceheard.com.
Yep. Keep it simple.
And can you just quickly say the name of the different services that you provide for people?
I have several services. I have dream interpretation, Reiki, shaman, ceremonies, shaman ceremonies. That's for people who like want to open up certain aspects of their gifts, stuff like that. I get the ball rolling. Sometimes when I do the ceremony, it's like the lightning strikes and the ocean, the Red Sea parts, you walk through the dry land. Other times it's a little bit more milder, but it happens. It might take 2 or 3 years or whatever, or 2 or 3 weeks, months, or days. It's all relative. It just depends on but it gets it open. And I also do house cleansing, long distance healing, phone sessions, Zoom sessions, and all of that's categorized in there and everything. And my book's there, and so that's about it in a nutshell.
Okay, and people can purchase your book on Amazon.
Yep.
Okay,
And you can either put, Life, A Creative Adventure in the check. Yeah, or you can put Lance Heard and it will do the same thing. It'll just go right to the book.
And it's also available on Kindle ebook.
Yes, it is.
Yeah. Okay. Because what's really cool in this book, you have offered meditations and exercises to do, very simple.
Yeah.
Yeah, and very powerful.
Yeah. And what's really cool about this book is that it's the type of book that, as you're going through your journey, you might get a little stuck in something or something like that. And then you go like, I wonder if it's that, that's in that book somewhere. And you can go through the table of contents and you can see things like, how to let go of past life.
Because you have in the table of contents the meditations listed out, so you can go right to the page. The exercises, yes, they're all in here.
Yeah.
And every chapter is listed, and then every subtitle of all the different exercises and concepts, so you can go right to that. He did a really good job of making it easy for a person to use this as a tool to help them in their work.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, that's my expertise, is to bring spiritual concepts can be very, very challenging to ground them and bring them into an earthly perspective, because they're very, my ways are many ways, many are my way, it's big. Yeah. So that's where I'm really, really good at. I can kind of like bring it down to earth in a way that it's malleable, so the person can kind of get it and chew on it, and and then rock and roll with it. And my whole key is teach people how to fish, basically, how to do it for themselves. If you choose to start using this book and the information in this book, you're gonna notice, you're gonna start feeling happier. It's going to be a lot easier. Life will be a lot easier. And everything that I've written in there, you'll be looking at it through your perception of reality. So you'll be navigating it and experiencing it and working with it through your reality, that makes it more powerful.
Mhm.
Because then your journey, which is priceless, because that's what gives you strength, your journey, and power and belief in who you are, will be different. And when you express your new realized realities, you'll express it in your way. And your way will have a resonance and a frequency that is completely different from mine. And it's supposed to be that way, because now you can touch all of those, the ones that I couldn't. You see how masterful it is? That's why it's important for us not to be cookie cutters.
Right.
It's beautiful and wonderful that we all have different perspectives,
Right.
because we can touch
Way
more people that
things.
way.
Yeah. Yeah. Very, very good. And then I will put in the description the links to your website for the book. Also, at the end of the video, there'll be a card that the person who's viewing this video can pause it and write that information down if they'd like. All right. And I just want to thank everybody for coming in here and watching us, listening to us talk about Shaman Lance's amazing, wonderful new book that he's gifted to the world. And thank you, Lance, for joining me today. It's been an honor.
Thank you. Thank you, buddy. I really enjoyed this time together, and grateful for this video and what we've done together. And also, I just want to, with this book, it's done out of love. And, I know what it's like to suffer and go through a lot of pain. And that was my incentive in writing this book. There is a way out, and you can and will achieve heaven on earth. So just keep moving forward, and you'll get there.
All right. Now, is there anything else you wish we would have touched on in the book? Anything? Did we cover it? It's not like we're not going to cover everything, but do you think we covered some good points that would cause a person to, hey, I think I want to find out more?
I think that a person is going to, if they want to find out more, they're going to have a feeling
Yeah.
inside of them, and something's going to resonate. But I would like to share a little something about the image, about the book, the image of the book.
Oh, yes. Okay. So let me ask about that. Okay.
Okay.
We're still recording. Okay.
Okay, cool.
Right.
It's okay if I show, I'm just going to show the book. Okay, I don't know if you guys can see this. Can you see this, Barb?
Okay, but it's coming in and out. Maybe
Okay, you do yours. Okay, there you go. All
so,
right.
Okay, so let me ask a question. Okay, so I'm gonna cut all this stuff out. Okay, so Lance, this is a very beautiful image on the cover of your book.
Thank you.
Can you talk about why you chose this beautiful image? We see looks like a hand coming down with a finger touching the water.
Mm-hmm.
And there's flowers. Okay, go ahead.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
like a waterfall in the back. Okay, go ahead.
Exactly. Yeah, so I got this image in my mind like 30 years ago. It's very symbolic. Like at the very bottom where it says by Lance Heard, you'll notice that the image is in black and white, the water. That's the way we start our journey, in black and white. good, bad, right, wrong, up, down, left, right, stuff like that. Then as we meditate and do our inner work and all of that, then that's when the color starts coming in, and the hand of God, that's the hand of God, and his finger is turned into a paintbrush. That's from what is it, the Leonardo da Vinci, is that what it is? That's where that concept came into my mind. And those petals on the bottom that are like flowers, those are the different chakras. And so as we're doing our work and stuff, we start cleansing our chakras, and they become more colorful and bright. And then you can see in the waterfall, the colors in the waterfall, it's like the colors of the rainbow. Well, all of that is creation flowing through our lives, new perspectives of reality, bringing in color. So I had that image for, like I said, like 30 years. And I go, God, that's so cool. And every once in a while, I just look at it inside of my head. I can see everything in detail. That's one of my gifts, And the back of it also flows into some of the image, but you can't really, you gotta get the book so you can see it a little bit more clearly, because it has writing over it. But that's why I put a phantom writing on it, so you could see through it and see the image in the back. But so then I asked my angels, I said, what should I call my book? And they said, Life, A Creative Adventure. And that's when the dong, 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 the harp started playing and the angels started singing. And then I go like, oh my God, that image that I got like 30 years ago, that's what that's for. And so that's how that image came to be. And the reason why I'm telling this story is because out of awareness of how the process and how the process can take time before you understand what it means and what it's supposed to be used for. So that's why we get information and we put it in a little folder and stick it inside of the filing cabinet when we don't understand it. And we keep it in there for a few years until we get enough of the puzzle pieces, until we go, oh, that folder. And you pull it out, and now you see the big picture. Well, that's how I did it with that. So I just expressed one process as an example of why the process is so important, and how it works inside of us and grows and expands. And in this case, it grew and expanded into this book.
That is so cool. Yeah, it's a beautiful book, a beautiful book to even have on your coffee table for other people to see,
Yes.
with all the colors that goes with every decor.
I just love that image. I really do. But of course I wouldn't put it on there if I didn't love it.
Oh, thank you, Lance.
You're welcome, Barb. Thank you. And
Okay, I'm going to I'm turning off.